I hope you don't get the sickness.
My boy Kurt is a stay-at-home dad, watching Disney movies he never had. His daughter digs through all the VHS, crushing the classics in a princess dress. Informed like Scuttle, Kurt's got your ticket, making it real like Jiminy Cricket. Most off the Captain Hook, but if the Tweedle dumb, he'll be taking more shots than Bambi's mom. Leaves him raised like Simba, or cracked like the beast dishes. He'll show you a whole new world, you won't need 3 wishes. Stay-at-home Disney dad.
This is Iron Will. Now, the VHS cover says it's a wild adventure, and as much as I want to make fun of that generic tagline, I'm honestly tired of eating my own words about these live-action Disney movies. These are movies I never would have watched in a million years, but when I did for this review segment, I honestly loved the majority of these live-action Disney releases. They're amazing in unexpected ways, and that might be my biggest takeaway so far from doing this review segment. Ad for Snow White, ad for Mighty Ducks 2, Let's Do It feature presentation, Iron Will, South Dakota 1917, we see a husky dog pulling a sled, or a better way to say that would be it's a team of sled dogs. We get actors' names across the bottom during this opening sequence, and oh no, Kevin Spacey's in this. Kevin Spacey? Cancelled. This looks like so much fun. Sled dogging. Okay, Brian Cox is in this. What's with you reporters? You take one person's misery, make the whole world experience it. The Ring, great movie. These sled dogs and the sled dude are now racing a train, and if there's danger in the scene, it's being betrayed by the happy music. No danger, yes danger, no. Okay, the dude and his dog are still trying to beat the train, but the music remains upbeat. I'm confused. He beats the train, then he dodges a 1917 army truck and wipes out. And this kid is 17 years old and he wears a wee Willy Wonka nightcap during the day. The army men are like, haha, kid, stay alive. We'll need you in the army one day. The snow dog guy is named Will and he works for his strict father. He had to beat the train for his delivery job. See, they deliver furniture and stuff by sled dog. He was late again. If he's late one more time, his dad's gonna fire him. They're sorting mail. Will stuffs a letter into his jacket and his dad's like, what do you got there? And Will says, a letter. And his dad's like, lets it go. So is he like a mail thief? No, it's his college application and he got in, but he's not going to college despite applying. His place is here, delivering stuff by dog sled, and yeah, it is. If anyone out there thinks college or any sort of career is better than delivering packages by dog sled for a living, you've been horribly misguided. They have a fleet of huskies, but one is pure white. That dog bites Will and his dad goes, bite him back, son. And I mean, that's odd advice. Not the worst advice, but odd advice. Lots of violin music and scenic shots of dad and the dogs and everyone delivering mail and furniture and packages. And then his dad biffs and ends up in a lake being dragged down by the sled. And he's drowning and the weight of the sled is dragging down Will and the dogs. So before I get to the next series of events, like, okay, you gotta see this. Okay, here's what we're dealing with here. Okay, ready? Okay, so this is his dad tied to his sled. And then he's attached to his son Will and their fleet of delivery sled dogs. And the weight of the sled pulls dad down, who is tied to the sled underwater. It's also pulling like Will and the dogs backwards into the icy water as well, because the weight of the sled and dad and he's tied to weighs more than Will and the dogs. Got it? So this is going in the water like this. Dad pulls out a knife. Now you have 2 choices here. Like, would you either cut the rope here or cut the rope here? He chooses to cut the rope here. And he immediately gets pulled underwater by the sled and drowns, but the dogs and Will are safe. Gotta be honest, I probably would have cut the ropes holding the sled first and then the other, or at least tried to cut myself free after the water sucked me down. You know what? It doesn't matter. Because up next is a snowy funeral. Will is yelling at the white dog, why didn't you pull him out? You think I'm scared of you? Now we got the wise Native American that tries to comfort Will by telling him, the river called your dad's name. And I mean, okay, on one hand, this company does not have a great track record of proper and respectful portrayal of the proud Indigenous people. So full marks for this character's wisdom. But that line, I have no comment. Let's move on. The kid cries. Hard cut to Will sitting outside, whistling to himself. Now we meet the female lead. She comes outside and chats him up. She says, "What you whistling?" He says, "Not at you, girlfriend. Move along." Just kidding. She says, "You're whistling your dad's tune." She says she's sorry and goes back inside. With dad dead, it's up to the kid to fill all the orders and deliveries now. Mom is not having any of it though. She's gonna sell the dogs, pay off the debts so he can go to school. White dog is Gus. Gus is worth a lot of money. She says if she sells the dogs and the business, she could pay for his college. And he says, maybe I wasn't meant to go. We get a cutaway of the Native American man who's chanting. Then we get a cut to the kid sleeping in this dark room. He gets up. He stares outside at the darkness and the blowing snow. And yes, being in one of the coldest parts of Canada, it sucks during the winter. I'm not going to say it doesn't, but there's this incredible feeling you can't describe when you're inside a warm house, looking outside, watching a snowstorm at night. Those moments are worth the shit weather. It's a feeling of pure peace you can't describe. Anywho, the kid gets the mail and finds out his dad was going to enter a race and win $10,000, and that would pay for everything and everything would be perfect. Mom says her husband couldn't win that race, which starts in Winnipeg and ends in St. Paul, Minnesota, so her dumb kid has no hope. But this kid feels electric and he thinks he can win it. He asks his dad's friend, the indigenous fellow, to help get him ready for the race. He says, "I can't do it in 1 month." Before we get the, inevitable training montage. He tells his mom, "Dad was gonna do it for me, now let me do it for him." And I'm buying into this movie. Mom asks the Native American, whose name is Ned, if it's possible. Hard cut to Ned scooping Will out of bed and tossing him in the snow in the middle of the night and saying, "Training starts now." I mean, why is he being a dick to the kid? The kid asked for your help and you wouldn't give it to him. And now you chuck him in the snow and give him attitude because you changed your mind? Okay, here we go. It's the inevitable training montage. Ned tells him, "You will make friends who aren't friends and enemies who want to hurt you. Sleep less and train more. You have one chance. Go while everyone else is asleep. Then on the last day when everyone else runs at night, you will already be accustomed to traveling at night." They give him mini potions to heal. You have to use Gus. Gus don't respect me. Again, this movie is treating the First Nations characters with respect and dignity, so big thumbs up for that. The gal gets her brother to give Will a fur hat, and he's off to the races, literally. Before he leaves, he has final words with Ned. "Ned, take care of my mom." Ned's like, already on it, kid. The kid's name, as I mentioned, is Will, and this movie is called Iron Will. Great wide shot of an old-timey train. He's in Winnipeg now. Another movie. This is another movie that takes place in Canada, and I did Brother Bear for the Canada Pavilion during my Epcot tour a few months back. Boo! He goes to some Tetris party, and I don't know why I wrote that. Maybe they were playing Dance to the Sugar Plum Fairy music or something. I don't know. I don't remember, but I wrote it, so I'm going all in. He goes to a Tetris party, and he's at it. It's a race kickoff party. They introduce all the racers. They all look like Die Hard villains, I'll be honest. Mike Riley from Calgary. Okay, is it time to mock the child who has no chance of winning it yet? No, guess not. Not yet. He doesn't get a shout out at all. Oh, he stands up and announces he's registered to race. Here it comes. A boy? There it is. They all laugh at him. They ask the kid how much money he has. $2, he says. Sorry, it's $10 for late registry. Sorry, kid. Wait, a guy from the newspaper will sponsor him the last $8 so he can race. What a scoop! Will says, I'll last as long as any of you. You know who else is worrying about lasting long right now? Kevin Spacey is the newspaper guy. He whoops the crowd into a frenzy, and now everyone wants the kid to race. Now, musical Hitler sings for the crowd as people buy this kid drinks and light up cigars, and now he doesn't even care about the race anymore. This is awesome. He's having the best night of his life. This is a good movie. Again, these live action ones that start out weak and suck me in, 100% what happened here again today. It always happens. There's a bad guy whose dogs are in the same cart as Will's, and he kicks Gus. The bad man shows Will the gross frostbite damage on his own hands, and he tells him to expect that. The mercury drops to 30 below, 40 below sometimes, and American Will has no idea what he's talking about as he tries to convert that to Fahrenheit in his American brain. The guy tells Will the roads next to Winnipeg are the most godless stretch of land ever, and he's not wrong. That applies for summer as well. Suck it, Winnipeg. He tells him, when you get frostbite, I will cut off anything you want, free of charge. There's a bunch of rich guys overacting as rich guys discussing the race, and they expect the kid to drop out after one day, but they're actually kind of worried he's gonna die. The next day, the race begins with a gunshot. I've always wondered, doesn't that just completely spook the dogs? Lots of fun shots of crowds and snow cheering on the teams. Say what you want about these lesser known live Disney movies. I bet they were super fun sets to work on, right? So the kid gets off the sled and he starts running to show the dogs how it's done, I guess. Is he Yukon Cornelius? The rich folks are on a train. They're kind of going beside the race and they're laughing like bullfrogs. And then they realize the kid's in the lead. Bah! But they are coming up to Devil's Run. Why make a race that goes through Devil's Run? I never understand that. Okay. This is where he's about to go over a waterfall, isn't it? I guess Devil's Run is actually just a hill. So he uses snowshoes and he pulls the sled and his dogs through it all the way. And the kid is panting, like he is not acting, like he went method in the scene, and good for him. He looks exhausted, legit. He gets to like around the hill or over the hill or whatever, then he gets past. See, what just happened here? No. Oh, no, okay. He made the trail. He was in first, so he made the trail through the snow. And since he was first and he had to cut the trail, the rest of them just breezed through the trail he made. This is good stuff, something I've never thought about. They come to the edge of a cliff and one rich guy loses his mind and he offers $100 to the first person to make it to the bottom. And then the camera goes like Sound of Music or Bed of Roses and like spins around this guy as he raises his rich hands in maniacal laughter. So they all throw themselves down this hill risking their lives for $100, right? This one guy biffs and almost dies, but he saves himself with a grappling hook like he's Batman. But he's out of the race. Another guy falls and he rolls down the hill and he breaks his back against a tree trunk. The kid stops and starts yelling at Gus, the dog. Like he's yelling at his dog. Okay. The mean guy that has this weird fascination with cutting off fingers talks smack to the kid again at the end of day one. Like, what is this guy's deal? Why is he so mean to this kid? Kevin Spacey from the newspaper sees the kid getting ready to leave in the middle of the night. He sees the kid eating this fruitcake and Spacey's like, "You're gonna do 40 miles on a fruitcake?" And the kid basically tells him it's drugs given to him by Ned, the indigenous man that's banging his mom right now, so he could, win the race. Man racing against nature, against time, is what Spacey writes in his paper, and 30 years later, a regular newspaper would write something similar about Kevin Spacey. Did that work? Did that land? I don't know. Regardless, he finishes the article, and remember the name, Will Stone. Will gets to a lake and has a flashback of drowning dad, so he refuses to go over the frozen lake. There's a powerful storm coming, and it threatens to cancel Christmas. What? You've never heard the story of Rudolph? Well, pull up an iceberg. Spacey is kind of a jerk. I don't know if he's supposed to be a good guy or a bad guy. He says if the kid dies in the race, he dies a hero, and he will write him one hell of an obituary because he died with honor. They ask Kevin Spacey how he can write about something he knows nothing about. The kid passes out from the cold, but his dogs just keep going and get him to the next checkpoint while he's like unconscious. There's a legit like feel-good moment where the rich people see the half-dead kid pull up and the symphonic music builds and they rush out to meet him and congratulate him. The kid continues to race and he stumbles upon the body of a fellow racer. The racer is nearly dead and tells the kid, "Go, keep going." But homie, don't play that game. And he gets him on his sled, wraps him in a blanket and says, "F*** it, he's gonna win this race, pay off the family debts, avenge his dead father, go to college, make his mom proud, and be a hero." The mean digit cutter is now sabotaging other racers, like tipping their sleds and stuff. I'm not sure why they can't just like get off, tip them up right, and get to the next checkpoint and keep racing, but the kid drops the almost dead guy off and he whispers the name of his savior to the crowd after they rush out when the kid's gone. The boy has a heart of a bear. Now they start betting that he doesn't make the next checkpoint. Like, geez. Can you champion this kid already? Honestly, I'm all in for this movie. Go, kid! This is great. He wants to keep racing, but Gus and the other dogs are tired, but then they race anyway. Will is the last American left in this race. Someone says, "Iron Will," and the nickname spreads across, like fire across the old-timey media. This is so specific. I wonder if this is actually based on a true story. Will is the new symbol of America. No pressure. Back at home, his family reads the paper about his success and how he races whistling his father's tune. A reporter stops by the house and he realizes he's racing for his dad to save the farm and go to college in the business. And they want to surprise him at the finish line. They want to put his mom and his mom's new boyfriend Ned at the finish line to celebrate. And the rich people that bet on the racers and the checkpoints have this moment where one's like, should we just give some of our money to the mom? And then they're like, are you daft? And another one goes, he reminds me of me 30 years ago. You know, when a team of dogs drowned my own father and I had to win a race to save my mom's company and go to college. I mean, that's everyone's story, let's be honest. We get a shady moment where the digits guy meets with one of the rich guys in like a shady back alley, and he wants the diehard guy to catch the kid and knock him out of the race because he's bet 10 grand against the kid, and this psycho finger cutter wants half. What a tangled web we weave, Iron Will. We cut to Will, and we are in horror movie territory as he's alone in the woods, and we see like the Jason Voorhees third-person perspective from around the trees. Oh, it's that psycho. He releases a mean dog that runs and attacks Gus. Cut away to the mean guy smiling and nodding. What a true villain. Gus is hurt, he's all clawed up, and Will pulls out a gun. Will pulls out a gun. Will pulls out a gun. It's go time. Okay, this is gonna go dark for a second, so I'm warning you. I'm gonna do a countdown before I say something that's for sure gonna get me the PG buzzer, but I'm invested and I'm riled up and I don't like violence against animals, so you've been warned. I'm gonna count down to 1, and then if you think what I'm about to say could offend you, cover your ears and scream for like 3 seconds, and then this review will be back, okay? So if you're easily offended, get ready. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. He should take his gun, make that guy pee his pants while he's racing, and let the cold freeze him to death that way. Iron Will, instead he comes in hot. Will storms into the bar, punches the guy, the guy pulls a knife on him. Will pulls out a gun, and the weird dude backs down. The paper guy says something, and Will lives the dream of many and punches Kevin Spacey and scolds him for using Will and his family in a situation to sell his newspapers. It must be awesome to be Will. Everyone just talks to his face like he's gonna die all day, every day. The bad rich guy offers him $3,000 to drop out now, and then he says, take care of that wee doggy, like he's gloating, like I'm responsible for this kind of tone. So I'm not really sure what happened now. Did he take the money and go back home? Where is he? What? He met with a crowd and they fanboy him and they call him a hero and he's an American icon and he's Iron Will, and these kids show him a shortcut across a frozen lake and he's having none of it. So he takes the bridge even though it's a waste of time. I guess he's still racing. Okay, so we're slowly crossing this train bridge and I can't help but feel, I can't even type fast enough before we see a train coming, and yeah, he's still racing, he's gonna get killed. So Iron Will meets Iron Train. Gus gets his foot caught in the tracks and then he gets it unstuck and everyone's okay. He looks at the frozen lake and is like, why couldn't Dad just have been crushed by a train instead? Will goes outside and collapses. Also, wait a second. How did that mean diehard guy release the dog to attack Gus if he was so far ahead of him? Okay, Will has gangrene, probably. The rich guy offers Will $5,000 to quit. The paper guy is hiding in the shadows and he's like, if you don't leave, you'll be tomorrow's headline. So Spacey is a good guy now, stopping the other rich guys from getting him to drop out. I don't know. Okay. Spacey's a good guy in this movie anyway. He's like, wake me up in 3 hours of Spacey's like, you're gonna kill yourself, and Will says, make it 2 hours, and Spacey watches him sleep, which is weird knowing what we know now. Okay, Die Hard digits. Okay, this guy looks like the pervert in the Aerosmith Crazy video that works at the gas station. That's where he's from. He says, it's over for Will on your last day. Spacey wakes him up and Will can't feel his arms or legs. Will cuts a promo and says, not even full-on paralysis could stop me. Yeah, America! He tries to get Gus. He's like, Gus wakes him up. He's like, I'm leaving you behind. And then he starts barking. So he's like, be quiet, Gus. So he woke the dog up to tell him to be quiet. Gus barks a second time and he's like, you're right, Gus. We started together and we're going to end it together. Gus is like, I just wanted some kibble. Also, this is the part where he can't use his legs and he's talking to his dog, which I think Will is actually somewhere in a snowbank in advanced stages of hypothermia, and this is all taking place in his head. Wouldn't that be a twist? No, it's all legit. It's the final day of the race. He gets dumped off his sled and the dogs run away. Are the dogs going to cross the finish line without him and he's going to have to win on foot? No, he caught back up. He's back on his sled. Will is getting close and we hear the bad guy music. And then people start passing him because he's so damn tired. Oh no, he stops, he gives up. That's not the Iron Will I know. At the finish line, his mom and the girl, and there's a sea of American flags. I'm like, where's Will? The bad guy pulls up and he's like, it's down to you and me, kid. If you follow me through the shortcut, we can beat them. So they use the shortcut together. Like, why doesn't Will just use the shortcut then shoot him? But, oh, of course, it's across water. Always with the water. Why does the bad guy now want to help Will? Or is he like trying to isolate him so he can kill him? Will should just shoot him and then float across the creek on his body and then make a staircase out of his dogs after shooting them too. But I'm invested and I'm riled up and I don't like violence against animals. No, he's gonna go for it. The bad die-hard guy is in the lead, just whipping his dogs, and the dogs turn on him because they're whipping him so hard. What's happening? Will goes by, he sees the guy getting mauled, and he fires his gun into the air, and then all the bad guy's dogs run away with his sled. So the crazy digit-cutting Aerosmith gas station pervert die-hard bad guy is out of the race. There's people with telescopes and signs giving the crowd cues of who's in the lead as it comes down to the wire. Suddenly, Will emerges from the shortcut. He's in first place, but he's dying and he's slowing down. He collapses like in front of the finish line. The crowd doesn't know what to do. Gus starts barking at him. Gus is like, "Are you serious? Get up, you stupid you little idiot. You dragged me all this way and now you're gonna die before we win the race." With like 10 feet ahead. The Native American Ned starts whistling the dad's song and the rest of the crowd joins in, and then Will gets his power from the fans. He starts like hulking up like Hulk Hogan, and the dogs jump into action and he's limping towards the finish line. Some other racer is gaining on him. Could you imagine the on this guy if he were to just beat Will at the finish line? Like if he doesn't let the kid win at this point, could you imagine? He wants to beat Will, but Will swats at the finish line inches before this other guy, and he wins it all. His lips are swollen and cracked and bloody, which is a great attention to detail, but it also makes me uncomfortable. Oh no. And that's it. No real ending. It just kind of ends. Again, let's Google this. Google Iron Will. It's a 1994 American adventure film. It is based on a true story of a 1917 dog sled race from Winnipeg, Manitoba to St. Paul, Minnesota. A 522-mile-long stretch as part of the Red River St. Paul Sports Carnival Derby. Nice. This was good. I love these old live-action Disney movies.
That's what I think about.
What do you think?
What we have is a concern about Curtis Anderson. His interviewing style is not the best. His personal appearance is not the best. I was wondering if the man has some kind of a hold over the channel that he's allowed to be employed for so long with the standards of journalism and personal appearance that he has.